This is all planting your seed, you know? This is very important because this is the first step, the first step, the first step, the first step. I cannot emphasize that enough. For everybody who is kind of sitting on a gold mine, I mean, like a brilliant God given idea, but you haven't started it yet. This is your sign to start. This is your sign to start. This is your sign to start doing the videos, to start making the drawings, to go buy whatever it is that you need, even though you do not need everything to start. Okay. This is your sign to start to flow and grow and creativity and bring those ideas to light. Bring those ideas to light because they're needed. They are needed at this table. Nobody wants a table full of the same food. Welcome to the Pure Passion Podcast. Y'all, this is my first episode. I'm really excited. I just, this is a lot. This is a lot. Whew, okay, so let's just get right into it, all right? I really kind of been feeling talking about planting your seed, okay? Clearly everybody is new because this is my first episode on the Pure Passion Podcast. But what this represents is being passionate and spirit-led regarding the things that God puts on my heart to share. So starting with, the first one, planting your seed. I just want to talk about that a little bit, okay? Because to plant your seed, to me, when I first heard the phrase planting your seed, I mean, somebody may think about a garden, but it's not so much literal. Okay, we can use a garden for an example. When you are planting a seed in the garden, it takes time for that thing to bloom and blossom and grow and for you to see the fruits of it, right? It's the same way when God gives you an idea or a urge to progress in a certain area that he's calling you to. So I really just want to highlight that. There are a lot of people that have, including myself, that have already received a word from God, a confirmation from God, stating now is the time to start. So that is what this topic is about today, planting your seed, okay? So let's start off with the basics, all right? Like I said, what does it mean to plant your seed? When I first heard that, I thought it was a bit much. I thought that I would have to do a lot. But y'all, planting your seed is simply starting. God just wants you to start. It's simply starting. It's simply taking a step. I want you to think about a staircase, and there's typically 16 steps in the staircase, right? To get to the next step, you have to take a step. You have to take a step, little by little. And before you know it, you're at the top of the staircase, okay? So planting your seed is all about taking that first step. Taking that first step into whatever it is that he's calling you to do, or into whatever it is that has your heart that is set on, all right? And outside of that, I want to touch on why we don't start. You know what I mean? Like, what makes us procrastinate? Why do we sit on a thing that we know keeps us up at night, and we have visions and dreams about it? What is that? All right, that is just laziness. I mean, laziness, procrastination, and I'm not judging anybody. I'm a victim of it. Like I said, y'all, this is my first EP, okay? My first episode. I was supposed to have been started this journey of podcasting and things like that, but I let a lot of things stop me. Anyway, so what are those things, right? What are those things that stop us? Sometimes we feel like, oh, I would start if, I had this, or if I had that, or I just simply don't have everything that I want to have. And truth be told, y'all, you're never going to have everything that you need. You gradually get there, but you have to start. Now is the time to start. You have to, You have to put the phone away. You have to put the episodes that you're binge watching away. You have to really get into your zone and figure out, how am I going to start this thing? It's okay if you don't have every backdrop, the carpet that didn't come yet from Amazon. I would start, but my rug's not here yet. Like, and I get it. There are certain things that can prohibit you from starting. Like, for example, if you wanted to start your podcast and you want a mic and you don't have the money to get the mic, you can still, do the message without a mic, but you really want that mic. So I understand that certain things can prohibit you, but in the long run, 9 times out of 10, it's you tacking on things and making it harder for yourself to start. It is scary. It can be scary stepping into something that is new, stepping into something that not only was just your idea, but this was between you and God. Like, God called you to do this. So it's pressure. Like, it's way more pressure than it just being yourself. This isn't just something that you woke up wanting to do. God has called you to do this. And I know that there are a lot of people, especially women, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a woman. I'm saying that because in this season I have actually prophetically felt God kind of highlighting to me that it's his women that in this season are going to combine and come together as one and do whatever it is that he has for us to do. I love Sarah Jakes, absolutely love her. She is my coach in the spirit, and she said something once about flowing in power, which is regarding women. She said that she loves nothing more than seeing another woman flow in her power, and that really stuck with me. You know what I mean? Because we all have a different way of flowing in our power, and imagine if he used that and combined, come on now. That's a power force waiting to happen. So my point is, when you are in the season of starting something and planting your seed and watching that thing blossom and grow, it starts with taking a step. Ironically, this is my first episode, and it is titled Planting Your Seed because I am in the journey myself, and I am in the stage myself of taking the first step. This is my first episode, so this is my first step in walking into it with confidence and with boldness and with authority. There's so many things that God has caused so many of us to do, and it's the fear that keeps you behind, that doesn't allow you to progress, to go forward. So I'm here to tell you, go forward. Take this step. It's okay. You're not going to know everything. You might not have everything. But if you have God on your side, he's going to equip you. He's going to show you. He's going to highlight things to you. And it's going to be a beautiful journey. So what have you been called to do? Or what has God been nudging you and kind of on your back with you about, that deep down in your spirit, okay, it's time for me to stop this thing. It's time for me to stop procrastinating. It's time for me to do this. And another toxic thing that we do is we go on social media. We see how somebody else is flowing in their power, and we're looking at God like, okay, mine doesn't look like that. What's wrong with me? Let me tell you something. The only reason why you see different versions of things, of people, different versions of how something is done, is because there's so many people in the world, which means there's going to be so many different versions of the thing that you're looking at. And if you want to be a part of that, you have to add your thing to the table. What good is it if everybody brought cupcakes to the table? If everybody brought cupcakes to the table, that's a problem. Now we just have a table full of cupcakes. But, it gets deep. You can have strawberry cupcakes. You can have chocolate. You can have vanilla. There's still cupcakes, but there's different flavors. I feel like that's how God really looks at and highlights the fact of your existence and you. A lot of the times you feel like, oh, well, I don't want to bring this to the table, aka me. I don't want to bring me to the table and my talent and my gifts because it's already there. Yeah, but it's not in that flavor. It's not in that flavor. That flavor isn't there, and you can provide that. You know what I mean? And so what? Even if it is there, it's not going to be like yours. I know that's hard to believe when you're dealing with like self-confidence and feeling like you just don't have it all together, and you know, I'm not going to make a difference, but you are. There's so many lanes, content, just things that you can be a part of. Like, the world does need you. I know that's cheesy and cliche and like, oh my gosh, the world needs me. Like, I mean, yes, we need different meals at this table. We do. You need different meals at the table. So that was a kind of sidetrack. That was a little side note. But yes, y'all, God is calling you to begin. Start the thing, even if it's little. If you're starting with fashion and your heart is really set on being a fashion designer and in the clothes and the stitching and all of that good stuff, but you feel like you don't have the typical setup where everything looks nice and neat. If you're like me, I do not literally like to start something unless my environment matches the vision. If my environment doesn't match the vision, I procrastinate. What do I mean by that? If I want to, like this, like if I want to start my podcast, who's doing a podcast in the garage? Who's doing a podcast in the basement? I'm not shaming people who do it in their garage or basement. Hear me out. I'm talking about without a pretty kind of vibe set up, you know, something that looks podcasty-ish. Like, who's doing that? That is how I feel, but this is how God feels. You are. Because the point is for you to start. It's for you to start. It's not about the image. He's going to gift that upon you during your season and during your journey and you know, just down the line. He's going to equip you with all of that. But sometimes we really don't start things because we don't have the look yet. Like, again, the fashion designer, right? Let's just use Louis Vuitton, right? Louis Vuitton? Okay, y'all know what I'm talking about. Louis Vuitton. Forgive me for not having all of it together, but I believe that they were brothers, and it was a second generation business, meaning it originated from their father and it got passed down to them, brothers. And they kind of bloomed and grew with it. Now, my point is, for y'all who didn't know, they started off with suitcases, okay? Stitching and designing. My point is, the Louis Vuitton that we know today and how it appears to us today, that is not how it was first formed and seen when they started it. They was probably sitting down somewhere on a log doing stitches. Like, it wasn't the Louis Vuitton setup. You know what I mean? And my point is, you're not always going to have this setup. So don't even let that stop you. Oh, but it doesn't look like how it's supposed to look like. I want to do fashion, but I don't have all my racks together, and I don't have the cubby holes for the shoes. So I want it. That will be added unto you after you start. If you try to get everything beforehand, you may run into the problem of like feeling like you have big shoes to fill. Like, oh my gosh, I have all of these things, and now I have to execute for each and every single thing that I bought and provided for myself. When in reality, you wasn't even ready for that step. You done bought the whole kitchen. People that want to start off in the food industry or like cooking or like having their own, I don't know, something regarding food, right? It might be as simple as you in your own kitchen doing meal preps, you know what I mean? Packaging them out, going to festivals, setting up your tent, selling your food. And I ain't saying, hey, whatever God is leading you to do. But instead of starting small and blooming and growing, you done bought the whole kitchen. And you don't even know how to use a double oven. Like, that's my point. It's okay if you don't have everything. It will be added unto you. I learned that personally about myself. Like, excuse me. To be honest, I work best with small things, small environments. It's God who blooms that and grows it, and sometimes makes you feel like, oh my gosh, can I handle this? Like, is this too much for me? Like, how am I going to do this? That is God. He's adding to you. Now, sometimes, like I said, we do it backwards and we add it on to ourselves. And then we're looking at God like, God, this is too much. How am I going to? And he's like, I never even intended for you to be at this step yet. It's okay if you don't have everything, but you have to start, okay? So Planting your seed represents starting. Okay, so now we planted this thing, all right? So what's next? Maintaining it. Shout out to Pastor Torre. He actually enlightened me through his sermons regarding to maintain, sustain, and remain. Those three core ideas are really important because, like planting your seed, right? So you planted it, boom. Okay, you took the step. Now you have to maintain this thing. What does that mean? You have to maintain it. You cannot just start something and then we need to break the curse of procrastination right now, because that is what creeps in all the time. When you start something, you have to stick with it. You have to maintain it. You have to create a time in your day to feed into this thing. If you had a plant and you know it's time for you to water it, you have to water it. That is another way of maintaining this plant. You bought the plant, now you got to maintain it. You have to keep it alive. You have to water it. You have to find a nice spot in the house for it to grow and shine. That is the same way with anything that is God-given to you from God, that He put on your heart to start, to bloom, to blossom. You have to maintain this thing yourself, nobody else. You can't say, hey, can you maintain this? This is not their thing. This is your thing. There's nothing wrong with people helping you, but you have to create that space where if it's going to get done, like Sarah said, in 2024, it's going to take for you to really step into this thing. You cannot work at it but back up because you're scared that it's not going to. Let Him reveal that to you. If it's a God-given thing, that's, in my opinion, that's just sign number one that you need to walk into this thing with boldness and authority because He gave it to you. Okay, that's one. So yes, you planted it, you're maintaining it, you're maintaining this thing, you're watering it, you're finding a place for it to grow and bloom. You have an area for you and this thing to become intimate, and for you to get to know it, and for it to get to know you. Okay, now we're entering into maintaining a thing, maintaining something. So if you are maintaining something, right, not only was it hard enough to take the first step, you took the first step, but now you're maintaining it, you're watering it, okay, and now you have to sustain it. What does that mean? The best way that God showed me this is, I want you to think about, you have an object in your hand, right? And let's just use a balloon or a ball, and you're going like this, and you're creating friction so much and so fast, and that object got so used to you having your hands on it that even when you took your hands off, it's still moving, it's still going on its own. That is the best way that I can explain visually how I felt that spiritually. The best way that I can explain that visually is in that example. It's when something is still floating, when your hands isn't even on it, because of the time and energy that you poured into this thing. You took your hands off, and that static and that energy and that flow of energy is still going on throughout it. That is how you remain something. It got so used to you just holding it and forming it and molding it that even when you stepped away, it didn't fall. It's literally still there, still remaining. And that really spoke to me because, oh my gosh, that's just what anything. If you're starting a podcast, if you're starting hair, my cosmetology girlies out there, okay? If you're starting a trucking company or business, you want to create so much static around that thing and energy that even when you step away, it's still floating. It didn't go anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is what they call sleep coins, and that's in a whole other probably episode or something, I don't know. But this all is wrapped up and involved with planting your seed, and not just planting it, but plant it where you are. Shout out to Bronner, okay, Bishop Bronner, like, for real. It's not going to fall out the sky. You're not going to be able to just have this environment where everything is perfect. You have to start where you are, like, quite literally. So planting your seed, okay? So far, that involves taking this first step, watering the thing and grooming the thing and keeping the thing alive that it is that you was called to do, and then remaining it, creating that friction around it, so even when your hands are off of the thing, it still cultivates. You're only going to be able to have something still floating without your actual consistent hand on it if you poured into the thing, if you spent time, if you have poured into this thing and groomed it as if it was like your child. Okay, so this is all planting your seed. This is very important, because this is the first step. I cannot emphasize that enough. For everybody who is kind of sitting on a gold mine, I mean, like a brilliant God-given idea, but you haven't started it yet, this is your sign to start. This is your sign to start. This is your sign to start doing the videos, to start making the drawings, to go buy whatever it is that you need, even though you do not need everything to start. Okay, this is your sign to start to flow and grow and creativity, and bring those ideas to light. Bring those ideas to light, because they're needed. They are needed at this table. Nobody wants a table full of the same food. Okay, so imagine if you went to a buffet and it's all chicken. And it's like, are you serious? People, okay? The world needs your meal at the table. They need your flavor, your creativity, okay? And y'all, even if you go, let's say somebody takes this as a sign and like, okay, I'm gonna start today, and they go on social media and they see the very thing that they wanted to do already started. Don't even let that stop you, because that goes back to the food example. That's just their flavor of it. It's not your flavor. It's not how you was going to do it. Even if you're like, oh no, yes it was. That's exactly how I was going to do it. They still quite literally do not have your DNA, your brain, your style of how your touch is. Your fingertips, everybody's DNA is different. I don't care how much you may look like somebody. Twins, okay? Twins even have different DNA fingerprints, okay? What I'm trying to say is, no matter how much alike something may look, or no matter how similar something may look, or no matter how many people that you see doing the very thing that you think is the exact same thing that you're doing, no matter how much of a match it may look, everybody in this world was born with different fingerprints. So just let that sink in, okay? I really didn't have much this first episode. I just kind of felt led to share planting your seed and just letting that motivate whoever that needs to motivate. I hope and I pray that I have that somebody received this message, and this is really resonating with you and moving you. Let me be an example to you of taking your first step. Let me be the example of sitting on something and procrastinating something for so long, and I'm just now taking the step, y'all. This is what planting your seed is about. So stay tuned for the next episode. I want to say every Friday I should be giving y'all a new episode and topic for the week. Okay, so this week was planting your seed, and I just thank everybody who tuned in and watched and stayed to the end. Okay, I love y'all. Until next time.